What happens when a proposal doesn't ask for love, but tests identity, pride, and equality? Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Today, we're diving into a powerful new chapter where Linda faces the biggest question of her life. Not whether she loves Quang, but whether she can stand beside him without losing herself. After a proposal at the construction site, a sudden crisis forces Linda to prove who she really is, not as a CEO's partner, but as an engineer with her own voice and strength. If you enjoy deep emotions, real choices, and stories that go beyond romance, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Morning arrives quietly, the kind of morning that doesn't announce itself. No alarms, no messages, no noise. Linda wakes up before the sun, her eyes opening slowly as if her body already knew she wouldn't be able to sleep any longer. For a few seconds, she just lies there, staring at the ceiling, listening to her own breathing. Everything feels the same, and yet, nothing is. Last night plays back in fragments, not like a movie, more like flashes, the construction lights, the dust in the air, Quang standing there, calm, steady, his voice low but certain, no crowd, no applause, just a question that changed the shape of her future. She sits up. There is no ring on her finger, and strangely, that's what makes it heavier. Linda gets dressed quietly, simple clothes, work clothes. She ties her hair back the same way she always does. If anyone were watching, they wouldn't notice anything different. But inside her chest, something has shifted, like the ground after a long night of rain. Outside, the site is already awake. Engines hum softly. Workers move with practiced rhythm. Steel and concrete wait patiently to be told what to become. This place has always been loud, demanding, honest. Today, it feels like it's watching her. Linda walks past the gate, helmet under her arm, greeting people with short nods. Some smile back, some hesitate, just for half a second longer than usual. They know. News travels fast on a construction site, faster than blueprints, faster than dust. She puts on her helmet and steps onto the gravel. The sound grounds her. Every step reminds her where she is, who she is. A female engineer. Not a headline, not a rumor, just Linda. From across the site, Quang notices her. He doesn't walk over immediately. He doesn't wave. He just watches for a moment, leaning against a railing, hands in his pockets. His face is calm, but his eyes follow her movements carefully, like he's reading a language only he understands. When they finally cross paths, it's near the temporary office. "Morning," he says. "Morning," she replies. That's it. No question, no pressure, no "did you think about it?" And somehow, that restraint makes her chest tighten more than any demand could. They walk side by side for a few steps, not too close, not distant either. The space between them is deliberate, respectful. Quang reaches out briefly and adjusts her helmet strap just slightly. It's an instinctive move, protective, familiar. A few people notice. No one says anything. Linda feels it though, the weight of being seen, not as someone hidden behind him, but as someone he openly stands beside. She exhales slowly. Later that morning, Linda reviews drawings inside the office. The air smells like paper, ink, and instant coffee. She stares at a section of the plan she's checked 100 times before, but the lines blur. Her thoughts drift. She loves him. That part is clear, simple, undeniable. But love has never been the thing she's afraid of. She's afraid of losing her edges, afraid of becoming someone smaller because the man beside her is so large in the eyes of the world. She's seen it happen. Women who disappear into titles that aren't theirs. Women who slowly stop being introduced by their work and start being introduced by someone else's name. She closes the folder. Footsteps approach. Quang stands at the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. He offers one without a word. She takes it. "Do you ever regret it?" she asks suddenly. He pauses. "Regret what?" "Building all of this." She gestures vaguely toward the window, the site, the future. "Letting it define you." Quang takes a sip, thinking. He doesn't rush his answers. He never has. "No," he says finally. "But I regret the moments I thought I had to choose it over people." Linda nods. She looks down at her coffee. "What if one day," she says quietly, "I choose my work over you?" The question hangs between them, heavy, unavoidable. Quang doesn't answer right away. He steps closer, lowering his voice. "Then I'll make sure you don't have to choose alone." She looks up at him, surprised. "I didn't ask you to marry me so you'd stay," he continues. "I asked because I don't want anyone, this project included, to ever make you feel like you don't belong." Something in her eyes softens, not relief, something deeper. Before either of them can say more, a sharp voice cuts through the room. "Linda." It's one of the site supervisors. His tone is tense. "There's an issue in Zone C. The reinforcement layout doesn't match the latest revision." Linda's stomach tightens instantly. Zone C, her section. They walk out together. The site feels different now, quieter. People gather, whispering. The mistake isn't catastrophic, but it's visible, embarrassing, enough to raise questions. Linda steps forward, scanning the structure. Her mind races, already calculating causes, solutions, timelines. She can feel the eyes on her. Some are curious, some are judgmental. A few are waiting to see if Quang will step in. Quang doesn't. Instead, he turns to the team and says evenly, "Linda will handle this. No defense, no explanation, no softening of the moment. Just trust." The silence that follows is thick. Linda looks at him for half a second. In that glance, she understands exactly what he's doing. He isn't protecting her from failure. He's protecting her right to stand on her own. She takes a deep breath and steps forward. "Everyone, give me 5 minutes," she says. Her voice is steady, clear. "I'll explain what happened and how we fix it." The crowd doesn't move right away. Then, slowly, they begin to disperse. Linda turns back to the structure, her hand resting on the cool surface of the steel. Her heart is pounding, but her mind is sharp. This is it. Not the proposal, not the ring. This moment. Behind her, Quang watches in silence, and for the first time since last night, Linda knows one thing for sure. Whatever answer she gives him, it won't be spoken with words. Linda kneels beside the steel frame, running her fingers along the markings. The lines are subtle, easy to miss if you're rushing, but she isn't rushing. She never has. "The issue isn't the placement," she says calmly, speaking more to herself than anyone else. "It's the revision timing." She stands and turns to the supervisor. "The updated drawing was approved late last night. The team on night shift was still working off the previous version." A few murmurs ripple through the group. "That means the fault is procedural," she continues, louder now. "Not technical, and it's fixable without tearing anything down." She walks them through the solution. Clear steps, no excuses, no defensiveness. As she speaks, people begin to listen, not because of Quang, not because of rumors, because she knows what she's doing. Quang watches from a distance. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't correct. He doesn't soften her authority. This is her moment, and he treats it like something sacred. Within minutes, the tension dissolves into movement. Workers return to their positions. Tools hum again. The site breathes. Linda exhales. Only then does she realize how tightly she'd been holding herself together. Later, when the noise fades into background rhythm, she finds herself alone near the edge of the site, looking out over the city skyline. The sun has climbed higher now, bright and unforgiving. Quang approaches quietly. "You didn't hesitate," he says. "I wanted to," she admits, for about half a second. He smiles faintly. "That's less time than most people need." They stand side by side, watching the cranes move slowly against the sky. "This," Linda says after a moment, "this is why I was scared." He turns to her. "Because of the pressure?" "Because of the identity," she replies. "I've fought too hard to be seen as myself. I didn't want love to erase that." Quang nods. "I know." She looks at him then. Really looks. Not the CEO. Not the man everyone listens to. Just him. "You didn't answer me last night," she says. "And you didn't ask for an answer this morning." "I wasn't looking for one yet," he says gently. "I wanted you to see the question clearly first." Linda considers that. Then she reaches into her pocket and pulls something out. It's not a ring. It's her access badge, the one she wears every day. She places it in his hand. "This doesn't mean yes," she says. "And it doesn't mean no." He looks at the badge, confused. "It means," she continues, steady but emotional, "if I step into a future with you, I'm not stepping behind you. I'm stepping beside you. Same risks, same responsibilities." Quang closes his fingers around the badge slowly. "That's all I ever wanted," he says. She takes a breath. "Then here's my answer." She reaches for his hand, not dramatically, not for anyone else to see, just for him. "I'll marry you," she says, "but I won't shrink for you, and I won't disappear into your shadow." His grip tightens, not possessive, anchoring. "Then don't," he says softly. "Stand where you belong." The wind moves through the site. Dust lifts briefly, then settles. Around them, the project continues. Loud, messy, alive. And for the first time, Linda doesn't feel like she's choosing between love and herself. She's choosing both.
Chào mọi người. Trong tập này, Linda và Linda theo bà và cậu cháu ra nương mía dưới nắng sớm. Bà vừa chặt mía vừa kể chuyện ngày xưa. Dạy chặt 3 hoặc 4 khúc cho đẹp để bán được giá. Đồng mía cao dần, 45 đồng trở thành hy vọng cho phiên chợ. Một cây mía đổ bất ngờ khiến cả nhóm kêu, rồi cười xòa vì kịp đỡ nhau. Chiều xuống, Linda buồn bã vì con rúi của mình đã biến mất. Nghi có kẻ trộm rình quanh nhà. CEO Quang ghé đến lắng nghe và trấn an và tự sửa chiếc camera cũ trong kho, kéo dây lắp trước sân nhà để bảo vệ cô. Đêm đến, Linda nấu cơm nếp cẩm mời anh ở lại ăn. Hai người trò chuyện lòng ấm lại. Quang kể áp lực công ty, camera nháy sáng, bóng lạ thoáng qua, và không biết Linda có sống sót qua được đêm nay không. Mọi người nếu thấy video hay, hãy cho mình một like, một subscribe. Cảm ơn mọi người nhé.